Hey.
D&D Gold.
Oh, is that what's... Oh, I don't... Oh, it's getting so exciting. 50 years of D&D. Yeah, that's going to come up. Of course.
Yeah.
That's all anyone can talk about.
Yeah. My thing is thankfully kind of calmed down. Not that it was... Well, I've muted so many fucking terms. I'm just I probably missed like 9/10 of the of TTRPG discourse because I've tried to mute every single fucking D&D or Critical Role related word. I'm just like, I get dregs of conversation now. Right? But otherwise, it's just like, turn on the fire hose of Critical Role and D&D. Like,
Yeah, those are active communities, like current, 5e players and Critical Role. I mean, that's
overactive.
Right. But that's deeply involved in a hobby. Yeah, you got to admire that when it's compared to some other things.
I tend. I'll go on camera too. I tend to think
you are
also,
on record.
Yeah, on record. I think the Critical Role fandom also has a problem with those parasocial relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's everybody, but I'm saying I think it's also that.
Because it's a very new media. Like it's you're watching people get together that you're like, oh, these are kind of like my friends, and they're telling stories. They're telling interesting stories, and they're talented voice actors, so you can enjoy. It's much more immersive, and that's true. And you can just tell by the people that are peripherally trying to get involved with them. It's like, oh yeah, I'm working with them, or I'm doing this, and then all the fan art and stuff.
I kind of understand, because like when I first, again on record, first came to Japan, I was listening to the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, just their like advice shows, right? I mean, because that's what they were doing back then before they started doing APs, and it was just people in a room chatting about a hobby I liked, and not having many friends when I first came over here. It was, oh, holy shit, here's people speaking my native language in the hobby I enjoy. I know I'm not there, but it's a little bit like I'm sitting in the room, and it's kind of like a placebo or like whatever replacement drug for being able to do this myself. So I get it.
Yeah. I can see that, because podcasts. I think that is part of the popularity of podcasts, because it's just a bunch of people, mostly completely unedited. People are just sitting around. They'll talk for an hour and then put it out there, and you're just like, wow, this is really regular, and I catch up with these guys. And
but I can see the same thing happen with Critical Role, right? Like the way that kind of like, cool, I'm sitting there kind of participating in front. Maybe it's almost kind of exactly the same as since Seinfeld came on Netflix now. I saw that, watching a little bit of that like laugh track. Like maybe kind of the idea of you hear this laugh track, you're imagine yourself sitting in the audience, kind of participating a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting.
Let me see if I can get to YouTube and pull up this link.
All right. So how's everyone doing?
The tube of views.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Man. Just because, speaking of IP addresses, I can, nice, I go on YouTube and I can like see myself actually moving around. It's a little bit delayed.
You can wave to yourself in a few seconds.
Do not recommend channel. Yes, let's definitely do that one.
Block it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah. Oh man, just the amount of, or the type of ads and crap that I get just from being in Japan. Where it's like, no, I don't want this made bullshit. No, I don't want that. Like, and the stuff, the videos YouTube recommend, it's like, oh my. No, I'm not turning on. How do I get to? Oh, there's the share button. But like, no, I'm not turning on locations because I don't want more targeted ads. But that means I got to put up with this typical Japanese anime gamer bullshit.
Right. Oh man. Oh, so hope everyone's doing good in the chat, and let us know if there's any technical problems. I think everything is kind of okay. I reconfigured stuff from our unboxing, so I think we're back to normal. Yeah, I think that's good. Hey, Crispin, how's it going? Oh, thanks. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, I had to make up the cartoon stream from Tuesday, so I just did one yesterday.
That's why I popped up yesterday. I was teaching, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, but that was fun. It was good. Good timing. I'm glad I didn't miss it this week. Nice. Yeah. I moved the camera. Yeah, the camera got moved for the unboxing, so we got recentered. Our little logo is right in the right between the lines.
There you go. Yep, we're centered this time. And I'm finally off my phone, yeah. Hey, I was sending out, like I said, we don't have a social media manager. That was me just tweeting, yeah, we're live.
Hey, Orcus, how's it going? Oh, yeah, Warlock, yeah. So I don't know if we're going to have a chance to talk about it, but before we start, so I'm currently running with some friends in the U.S., so online, Enemy Within, the Warhammer Fantasy first edition, but using the Warlock system. It works perfectly. It's really, you gotta do some stats and some manipulation of like how powerful things are in terms of this system. But other than that, the careers and skills work pretty well. You have to add, so I had to add corruption and had to add black powder weapons.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, other than that, because this is more like early Renaissance and or Warhammer Fantasy. Sorry, it's like more like early Renaissance, late medieval, and this is more like medieval. Yep. But it works. The griminess and everything works really well.
I'm jealous. I'm incredibly jealous because I want to play that.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier, I wonder if or a thought is, because Warlock is kind of like, they say, like quintessential British fantasy role, and that's Warhammer Fantasy. So they're probably not influenced each other, but seems like they both kind of.
And fighting fantasy too, yeah. Right.
They both kind of like grew out of the same thing, and
a reaction to D&D. Yep. Yeah, right. No, that's very true. Yeah, so it works really well together, and they published a couple of compendiums of additional rules and things that work really well.
Oh, nice.
And that actually, we looked at Warp Star, so they did a sci-fi version called Warp Star. And that incorporates a lot of the stuff that was compendium for Warlock is now in the rule set for Warp Star. So people knew it was a good idea, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you had talked before about adapting a PBTA game or hacking a PBTA game to do Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
So Warp Star Rogue Trader when?
Yeah. We got to do that. Yeah, I think that's much easier to do. Plus, it even has the warp abilities and then the corruption and mutation of warp.
Nice.
Yeah. Warp infestation or ruinous. Yeah.
There's a reason my chosen god is Slanesh. Mutations are cool, not if they're ugly as shit. Right? No.
Nice.
No Nurgle. Zinch, it's a little bit too random for my taste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice and brutal. That's the thing that Warlock matches first edition Warhammer Fantasy really well because you can. There's a lot of so critical hits in this mean your stamina's gone and you're taking damage, and also I've been using. Because there are things that are a little bit like Call of Cthulhu, where you see something and you have experienced fear or something. So the stamina is kind of standing in for mental and physical stamina, and I'm testing off of that to decide if you are paralyzed.
Cool. And that kind of drops.
Yeah, right.
As you take.
Right. Yeah. You become less able to resist things, and it also has a luck. So it's a 2-stat. So if you don't know Warlock's a 2-stat system, luck and stamina, and those are the only things you generate. Everything else is adventuring skills that are then based on career, like the career that you chose, how you can level those up. And
so is it kind of like a death spiral a little bit? And by that I mean the lower something gets, the less of a chance you have to do something. Meaning the faster that thing decreases.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's not so built in, but the way that I'm running it is more like that because I'm using it for both kind of mental and physical. Yeah, it's gonna limit things and make it easier for you to kind of freak out when you see something horrific. And I like the thing that I like about the corruption too is corruption it disfigures you, but it gives you mechanical bonuses. Yeah, so that's really good. It's that weird give and take.
Cool with it. As long as my character's not ugly.
Right. Oh yeah. There's some good stuff in there. Yeah. So I'll try to kind of document, maybe go through, and recap.
No
some
spoilers, because I want to play either and or both.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, let's do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing I like about it is taking the crunch out of Warhammer Fantasy, because even the 4th edition,
it's a peanut butter of Warhammer Fantasy.
Because even it's the smooth version. So even the 4th edition, it's got a lot of extra stuff that you're dealing with, and character creation is a little bit, a little bit more laborious. Yeah. The only thing that you may have to build into depending, is a kind of social rank. Okay. That's a thing that 4th edition like really pays attention to. So you can't interact with certain NPCs if you're of a certain class or a certain rank, and you do start out very lowly for the most part. So there are ways to, I think, to build that in. I just haven't done it. Haven't needed it yet. Yeah. So it may come up in Enemy Within. Cool. But yeah, and Enemy Within is really good. It's really fun. Yeah, I've always wanted to play that, but yeah, running it is just as fun because I'm reading ahead.
Yeah, you're just like, ooh. Yeah.
Nice. So Grubby Fantasy, highly recommended.
Grubby Fantasy.
All right, so let's do this for this week. Get my notes up. All right. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, Asmodee for sale?
Ooh.
Question. CMON buys an RPG studio.
Okay.
See what that means. Access to larger markets for TTRPG designers. And this is talking about kind of global south designers.
Yep.
And the next evolution of 5e coming in 2024.
Can't escape it, can you? Yeah.
It's coming. All right, so let's start with all the lovely business stuff that we don't know that much about, but we'll speculate. So Asmodee, the owners of Asmodee are looking to sell the company for 2 billion euros. So they previously purchased in 2018 the company for 1.2 billion euros. And so they're looking to make a profit. Right. And because they don't care about games at all, it's PAI Partners, a French investment fund that currently owns Asmodee. So they're trying to raise these funds to sell it because they purchased it from Eurazeo, another investment fund. So that it's just
kind of getting passed around.
And that's the thing that is not great about, and why now we've got Chinese investment in European companies too. So that's the thing that's not great. Is I think that's what happened to Target Games. Is there was some financial shenanigans, and then just poof, it's gone. So when things are being managed this way, not that it doesn't happen in the U.S., but it can just go sideways pretty fast, and you can lose some real cherished IPs. The rights to things can kind of go sideways. So Asmodee has spent the last 3 years just gobbling up everything. So they own Fantasy Flight, Z-Man, Game Genic, Days of Wonder, Catan, Repos Prod, Lookout, and many other little tiny studios. So a lot of beloved. They saw the success and how the market was growing for board games, and just started eating everything up that they could.
Right.
So the weird thing is, I mean, it's, I guess, obvious why they're trying to do this, because the tabletop right now is experiencing huge rises in production costs, shipping costs, and raw materials as well. Yeah.
So you think they're just kind of behind it going, we're not going to really make money here. Let's dump it before things get possibly even worse.
Right. Yeah. Before that industry starts to choke on these new problems. But before they sell, they decided to do their third price hike in a year and a half. So Asmodee has now raised the prices on over 400 more products in their catalog. So their third price increase, and they're claiming this is due to increased production costs from China, which is plaguing everybody.
It might be.
And so, it's hitting everything, all their big IP games, Marvel and Star Wars and all that stuff. But along with these price increases, some other kind of shenanigans have been going on. They've been really leaning on the retailers, the local game stores, and banning them from selling on Amazon, and trying to restrict their access. I guess because Amazon takes away from their their online sales.
I don't know how Amazon prices their stuff, but I assume Amazon prices their stuff because they can buy it in such bulk.
Well, and you can be a marketplace seller on Amazon and just plug into their algorithm, so the price just jumps up and down.
Right. Okay.
And they take a huge bite out of it, but you get huge exposure, and maybe Asmodee sees that as competing with the web store and their
probably
their full cost.
Don't buy it for cheaper from Amazon. Buy it from us.
Right. So these price changes are due to the dramatic increase in raw material and transportation costs in the past year. These increases are raising the MSRP across all of their games: Atomic Mass, Fantasy Flight, and Asmodee US. So they want to be able to offer excellent service in sales and marketing, and so it gets more expensive as it goes.
Well, I mean, that's honestly just how it works. And I have I'm not so much in board game circles, but thinking about TTRPG circles, I kind of agree with the sentiment I've been seeing that stuff has been too cheap for too long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it kind of sucks for us as consumers going, oh, I got to pay like $10 more for this thing. But
Yeah.
I think things need to come up in price.
Mm. Yeah, I think so. And some more domestic production would not be a bad thing either for some of this stuff. And I came across a quote from Hasbro about how shipping has changed as well. So Hasbro was talking about the actual shipping cost. So before the pandemic hit, a 20-foot container was costing them about $5,000. And that was up. That was in 2020, up from the previous year of $3,000.
Yeah.
Now you're lucky if you can find that same container for $9,000.
Right.
And in the last few weeks when this quote was taken, there were about $21,000 a piece. So the costs are just jump, upping up. And some people are paying as much as $40,000.
Yeah.
So I mean that's got to eat in. I mean, if you're just trying to meet production schedules and stuff, but you just are losing all your profits.
I didn't read it in Hasbro, but I read another article about it. Like forget who wrote it or what it was in. It followed the production of like this little stuffed giraffe, right? Maybe it was going to like Target or something, and it's like, here's what it used to be, and like at every step, pretty much in the point, it's just like delay, price increase, all this stuff. We're just like, it costs more to make and ship things now. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think production costs are going up in China because workers there are demanding higher wages, because that's why a lot of stuff was trying to flee China to go to Southeast Asia. So yeah, we just that age is over. Like China is they've got a hold of things now, and people are demanding, now that they're seeing this prosperity, they're demanding a living wage.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and so we can't benefit from that that poverty. They're kind of below the poverty line workers anymore. So I guess we'll just have to get used to it. The global economy is just like that.
We'll wait until the billionaires like Bezos and Musk fund their space colonies, and that's where all the poor workers
there we go. Right? Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
if sci-fi taught me anything, that's what's going to happen. Right?
Nice. Yeah, the beginning of Mutant Chronicles, right? The Great Exodus. Yeah. Excellent. Well, some more business news in tabletop. So CMON, the Zombicide publisher.
Oh, that's what they publish, right?
Yeah, they just acquired the studio behind Broken Compass. So it's an Italian studio that is now working on a top secret narrative-oriented project.
But not top secret.
Yeah, no, not top secret.
Top secret, small t, small s.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, hyphen. So Two Little Mice is the name of the studio. Okay. So their success, or what you may know them from, is from the Broken Compass, kind of inspired by pulp, Indiana Jones type action adventure. So they are going to serve as the publisher of CMON's growing line of RPGs and story-focused gaming products. So we don't know what that is yet, because it's
Dice?
top secret.
Pens and paper, pens and pen. I don't know. Story-focused products,
Yeah, I don't know, because CMON, I'm not sure as far as RPGs. Fantasy Flight, I know what they've got, but I'm not sure. And CMON has, right now they're leaning really heavily on their licensed IPs. So I don't know if that means we're going to get, who knows, He-Man. Oh, no, that's all. Yeah, that's all somewhere else. Yeah. So they have board game licenses. So I wonder what that means for tabletop, because everything that they have a license for, someone else is doing an RPG. Marvel and
I guess that would. Well, I don't know. Does that prevent them from also getting a license? I don't know. Maybe in some cases it does. Maybe in some cases it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I guess it would depend. On the
or maybe they're going to go get other stuff, right? I mean,
or original, because they have some of their original properties like Blood Rage, Rising Sun, all the Eric Lang mythic trilogy that Eric Lang did. So that's original. Those are original things that they have content for. Yeah, so we'll see. So but the studio seems to be happy with the purchase, and we'll see what narrative products and projects come out.
See what project. What's that top secret?
It's top secret. But something interesting that I saw, and I think this was on Dicebreakers. And this is something that's come up between us on the weekly quite a few times.
Beef. Okay.
Yes, definitely. No, but a Brazilian RPG designer called attention to the kind of invisibility of games from what they're calling the global South. Yep. And so that would include, South America, Africa, Southeast Asia. Yep. And there were some really great quotes. So it's, I guess, maybe like a Twitter thread. But he said, here we are writing games in a second language and swimming against the tide in hopes of reaching a larger audience and making ends meet. Right. And so the Brazilian designer is Cesar. Here we go. My Portuguese is terrible. Capala, Capala. I don't know. It looks like Capacal, but it's Capala. I don't know. Capacle. I'll go with Capacle. I'm so sorry, Cesar. But talking about just kind of working within the system and things that have come up before, like the restrictive nature of Kickstarter,
Right.
where
How
they
you
just
can't
don't
go from certain countries. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have access to that, and so that just means that they're locked out of the northern, the global northern markets. So. That if you have access to Kickstarter, that means you have access to the 25 countries that have the world's largest economies. So that kind of market is something that could make or break a studio if you got access to it. So of course, Kickstarter isn't the only avenue. GameFound, which works as a pledge manager for a lot of Kickstarters, but you can actually pledge directly on GameFound. They will serve countries not served by Kickstarter, and of course, itch funding as well.
The thing, I guess, I'd been seeing a little bit about this, and I think I couldn't tell you what it was, but I believe there's now like a tag or a hashtag that people are using on itch.io to highlight that these games are coming from, as you put it, like the global south, so they're easier to find, right? Because that's what it is. But I've seen, I'm going to possibly get it wrong, people saying something along the lines of, this isn't just Kickstarter and this isn't just itch. Sometimes it's unfortunately the way currency, especially electronic, gets transferred to and from their countries. So like banking, a lot of these countries are just like, there's so many hoops you have to jump through or do that also makes access to a larger audience restrictive just because of the infrastructure through which these people would be paid, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think, the international banking system, because they're trying to block funds that are maybe funded by narcotics or whatever from being, easily transferred. Or banks are just
being like, nope, we don't want to deal with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just not making it. But, that a lot of that stuff comes into play. There's reasons why. There's probably certain decisions that are made. We don't deal with this country. We don't deal with these banks. But another quote from Twitter is, so if you were born in the wrong country, the platform does not allow you to have a creator's account. So you have to make do with workarounds such as itch funding and third-party publishers. And so an example of that was a Southeast Asian designers, the project Our Shores, which 3 different designers worked with Sandy Pug Games to circumvent the geographical restrictions of Kickstarter, and so they helped them get on Kickstarter.
I think I backed that.
Oh, cool.
Speaking of transferring money, my U.S. bank account is basically zero because I haven't transferred anything back home, right? And because the fees are ridiculous. But prior to that hitting a very low number, I backed a lot of Kickstarters and did stuff like that. So I think I backed Our Shores. I'll look to see if I did after the cast and then maybe talk about it next.
Oh, nice.
Cast.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. Yeah, definitely. And this is something, because, this is a voice and a perspective that we're just not getting in gaming just because of the economics of it. And, just because of the region-locked, basically nature of Kickstarter.
That's a good way to put it, region-locked, yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe you don't understand how much of a difference selling a game in U.S. dollars makes for them. So just like, people that will work like as a migrant or on a temporary visa, work in a global northern country because that currency is so much more powerful. That earning power is so much more powerful for the welfare of their family back home. So it would be the same for selling a game. If you could sell a game in U.S. dollars, it's going to be a lot. Japan's Northern Hemisphere too, right? So I was thinking like, maybe different reason, but that happens here as well.
Yeah. People coming into the service sector, and then, also Japan encourages no, we want you to go home.
Yeah, right.
We really want you to go home, right?
We're done with you now.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for paying taxes for 5 years. Thanks for contributing. Please leave. Yeah.
Yeah, so these factors are locking the global southern designers out of a $11.3 billion industry for a tabletop, so games and puzzles and things. That was 2020 numbers. Right. So that's just a huge loss, and I think a huge loss of voices and talent, and hopefully something can something can happen, and it seems like there is a need to be filled, and especially if you coupled that like funding with localizing and things, so getting it into languages in Europe and North America, I think that would make a huge difference. So our local markets are more often not enough to support us. For me, this is not a side gig, a fun project I do in my spare time. This is the difference between paying or not my rent. Yeah, so trying to make a living as a game designer, and it's just the local markets just don't allow that. So so hopefully we will see some changes. So just pay attention. If there are, like you're saying, there's a hashtag, and if there are opportunities to actually support some of these smaller developers, because a little bit of support will go a long way for them,
or farther than it would.
For
much
more.
Us, yeah.
Right. And so maybe digital is just the way that they're going to have to start to penetrate markets, and then and I think that would be the thing that they would need to do, is just get to the gaming conventions in North America and Europe and just make those deals. Like, don't, just travel there, but then, show the big publishers what we've got. And like, would you guys, be interested in starting a department that would actually bring this stuff into the market? Because they're always looking for new content. Unfortunately, though, who knows what kind of contracts and what kind of...
That was just my next point, right? Like, there were a couple points there. Like,
sure, we'll buy your game.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
How about $10?
Yeah, would they be exploited that way? Possibly, right? Then I also think like, the conventions, but even that is a hurdle, because
prohibitive.
Think about us, like we speak English.
Yeah.
Largely okay, right? And like that's most of my TTRPG audience. But then like our geographic location, how much does it cost for us to fly back?
Oh yeah.
Okay, even pre-pandemic, right? To go to something like Gen Con or all these other conventions, like that's prohibitively expensive. So that's just another hurdle to get through. And like I said before, shipping. Want to make physical things, shipping it here and then shipping it out. No, just not happening, right? So yeah, I'm sympathetic and empathetic, just kind of based on the situation, where it's easy to see how just access to an audience would be like a huge step forward. I think I phrased that very poorly, but people know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, we know. Yeah, so hopefully, we'll see some more progress made, and just like Western RPGs penetrating the Chinese market, it'll be nice to see things from Southeast Asia, African, and South American designers localized in ways that people can enjoy them in the global north.
Yeah, global north. Yeah.
That does not sound great. But the big excitement, I know you're saving your pennies right now. I know you've
yennies. I'm saving my yennies. Yeah.
you've got 3 years, 3 years to go. But at the end, I think they had a live event, so D&D Live or whatever. They just dropped a bomb that everyone's like, no, the RPG world. No. RPG world was rocked by the news of just the very super vague announcement of the next evolution of Dungeons and Dragons will be released in 2024. So that's pretty far off. And so if that is going to be a next version, like if that will be 5.5e, that's kind of the longest it's been between versions.
You think so?
Yeah, it's because I think like 8 years. Yeah, I think there was 8 years, 11 years. So it's pretty long, because 2015, and so 2024, 9 years. Yeah, I guess it has been.
5e came out in 2015.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah,
really?
5e. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been out for a while, and so then plus 3 more years. It's like, wow. So I guess a decade. I don't know. But we don't have any details, and they are confirming as well that 3 of their classic settings are coming out in 2022 and 2023. So
for 5e.
Yeah, for 5e. And this, whatever this is, is going to be compatible with 5e. Right. So you don't have to throw away anything. You don't have to really rebuy anything if you want to enjoy some of the new content. But I'm sure they will reprint the three big ones again.
The thing I saw, and why I raised that point, like that one detail we had was it will be backwards compatible.
Right.
Whatever. Are they going to call it D&D Next again during development? And I was wondering, like, okay, I'm going to have to go and look at how long such things were published.
Yeah.
But I forget, because we were, like, back on the original Idle Red Hands, which this is no longer, we talked about the end of 4E and D&D Next. And I forget how long it was from when they kind of said, we're done with this.
Yeah.
To announce Next, which became 5E. I don't think it was 3 years.
Mm.
It was maybe one or two or something like that. Anyway, I hope to God Actually, why do I care? I'm not going to play it anyway, right? Okay, my thought. I wonder if they're going to do that crowdsourced bullshit thing again.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you know, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No.
Okay, if D&D 5e is the most popular version of D&D, and I don't have any metrics to say whether that's true or not, but it seems to be the sense I get, I guess I can't complain about their crowdsourced thing because it came out with a product that's the most popular version of it, right? And maybe that wasn't the sole factor, but if it was, then I guess I can't fault them for going, let's do it again.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just the internet, I think, that made 5e.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
But like, I think there are other factors that went there. But if Hasbro and WotC go, let's crowdsource some things again, I guess I got to go, well, it seemed to work for you last time, so okay.
So is there anything they could do? Well, I know this is
Asking
a pretty
the
brutal
wrong
question,
person.
but is there anything that they could do to make it a more appealing system to you?
I forget where I saw this, but do you remember way back a couple that's longer, in the past, we had somehow talked about why not split D&D
I was gonna bring
into
that up,
here's narrative, here's your tactical combat simulation.
Right.
I forget where I saw it, and I'm going to have to go dig it up. I think I saw something that kind of implied they might do this.
Wow.
Right? Again, all we have is speculation. Where if Hasbro and WotC do this, okay, and we do have some precedent, the old basic and expert sets, right? So I think Hasbro and WotC maybe looked at how D&D is being played, and I think you kind of have these two distinct camps of we're just going to tell a story and roll some dice, but we're still playing D&D. No, not really. And we're going to do the tactical combat thing where we're playing D&D. We're using the same rule set. Both sides are having to ignore large swaths of the rules, probably, right? Or optional stuff. Why not just say, here's your two versions in the same book. Here's their narrative, and here's their combat tactical overlay, whatever.
Right.
These are all compatible. They're two kind of separate but not competing games. I think they might do that.
Yeah, I think that would be if there's some way to make it more modular, where you can just, because they kind of suggested that even in the 5e books, they were like, well, if you liked healing surges from 4e, you can still do that, and you can do that. If you like some more first edition or second edition rules, they still kind of can plug into here. So they were really hinting at that. But if they deliberately say, here's narrative, here's storyteller, and here's combat
fighter,
right, if they came up with a way to brand it, and then a way to just kind of like slot things in, so it's like, we do want combat, we don't want it to be all negotiation and role play, we do want some combat, but how about more rules light version,
one die roll resolution or something like that, or whatever.
So those sorts of things would be interesting, and I think that would help kind of serve the market better, because a lot of things that people are saying about 5e is it's trying to do things it can't do, right? And some of the new settings and source books that are coming out, it's a lot more role play and a lot more theater of the mind, and it's not built for that. It's just built for combat and trick people, intimidate them, and then fight them.
Or cast charm and that's
make them sleep.
No, I think someone had brought up, if Hasbro and if WotC do that, where you have your tactical and your story, for lack of a better chance, I think the person said something along the lines of, is that D&D encroaching on like story games? And like, honestly, I said, maybe. I'm not necessarily worried, because I mean, the way things are now, right? You already have people playing D&D as a story game, right? So I tend to think it's okay. Maybe I don't see any people going from indie story games back to D&D unless D&D does something amazing, and D&D, I think I'm going to call it gold. Not my original idea, but somebody pointed out 50th anniversary.
Oh, right,
right, gold.
Right. That's right.
And calling it D&D gold possibly would help limit edition wars. Because this isn't 5.5, this isn't 6, it's just gold. Right?
The anniversary version. Yeah.
If they did that, if D&D gold has like a narrative and a fighter one, I tend to think people who are going to play the D&D Gold narrative either also play indie story games or kind of wouldn't be interested in going that way, right?
Right.
And people who play indie story games are going to go, it's D&D. Why would I play that, right? I think there's already a kind of a delineation, and I don't see there being that much crossover between those two groups. So I don't see D&D Gold narrative taking a huge bite out of indie narrative games, unless they do something amazing, which I think is harder for them to do as a big company, because big companies just can't move as fast as smaller indie games. And they also, while they would probably lessen the effect if they split it into two, they still are trying to please as large an audience as possible, rather than saying, here's what I want to do, fuck anyone who doesn't kind of like it, right? They kind of can't afford to do that like an indie game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. And I like you brought up the version war. Yeah, they don't know. I mean, with the popularity of 5e, just the mass exposure of it, a version war would make PlayStation versus Xbox look, like
or 4 versus 5 or whatever. Yeah.
So it could be really ugly, because these are people that are like, no, this is my system. Now we're going to have these like 5e purists that are going to say, I'm not playing your dirty 6.
They're also not going to make the same mistake that gave rise to Paizo.
Yeah, right.
They're not going to. No, let's not make our own competition again, right?
Yeah. So who knows what this is going to. There's no details, and it's a few years off, so we'll see. But I think that would be a really good choice, is to kind of let people make the system a little bit more adaptable and make it clear what they're trying to do. Like, you plug this in or use this book instead of this book. So you're going to play it. Yeah, you can play it narrative, and you could even have everything in the same source book, and just kind of say, this is for narrative, this is for combat, or this is the fighty side of it. Yeah, to make it. But I mean, that's a lot more work. But at the same time, if they made it, that would secure an audience that they may be losing, to other systems and other games.
I was laughing because I think it should be called D&D Gold, fighty and kissy, because those are the two things, right? Those are the two camps, right? We want a game about like feelings, where we're all gonna and we want a game that's just about killing shit, right? Okay, so fighty and kissy, there's your two versions.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Or just theater kids and math nerds. It's like just have a calculator watch on the cover of the so we don't know, but some people have some ideas. If you visited change.org, you may have filled out the or you may have added your name to the petition to convert D&D to metric. So an Australian DM, this is a big problem. This is a big issue, I guess, for certain regions. They just don't like the imperial system in D&D and 5 feet and 10 feet, and my range is 30
Let's
feet.
Be honest, imperial system is pretty wacky.
So, but this is coming from Australia. So it's a petition to convert all of D&D to metric. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, they're just lucky that they're not using some weird arcane, like medieval system that's pre-imperial.
What was it? Did Britain's going to switch back to their whatever?
Oh, really?
Their imperial thing? Like, was that whatever it is? Where it's like, okay, you're going to have like hands and pounds and rods and barrels, and I don't even know what else. Right. Okay, imperial system is whack.
But it could be worse.
Honestly. Yeah. You can convert it yourself.
Yeah. So, but what is that going to mean? Instead of like, your cone of frost is like, a 2.75 meter. It's like, it's 3 meter. Like, that's all it's going to be. You're just going to be rounding up decimals that. So yeah, it's funny though. I think that's just really funny. It's like, I want D&D to be, but I do understand, because there are some people that are so into the math of combat and movement and ranges and stuff. When it's that inexact, it must drive them crazy, because they can't use their spreadsheets and whatever to calculate.
You lost me.
Yeah, velocity and whatever angle of the sword swing.
If you are calculating the velocity of a sword swing, I don't want to play with you. I don't want to play with you.
But it's easier in Magic.
It's great you're having fun.
Right.
Do it over there.
Yeah, so we'll have to just wait and see. So they just threw that out.
Did you also, going back to D&D, did you also see the news? I think this may have coincided with that D&D celebration or whatever. I don't really follow it. Someone noticed that either WotC or Hasbro put up job offers for software or developers, and the person speculated that either Hasbro or WotC is doing or starting to do their own VTT, their own virtual tabletop, which, sure, okay, makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't exactly know how Roll20 works, right, or D&D Beyond works. I've seen people saying they're buying the books twice, right, for these things to work. Roll20 must take something, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they have the ability to do so, as a business, it makes a lot of sense for WotC to go, no, here's our virtual tabletop. We're going to play D&D, and that way we don't have to pay Roll20 or we don't have to pay anything to any of these other people. Buy our books in whatever proprietary electronic format we put out, because we're not going to give you PDFs. And oh, you want a physical copy? Cool. Also buy it in this one if you want to use our content, right? Like it sucks for some people. I don't use virtual tabletops, but I can't fault WotC as a business for going, nope, we want to bring it all in-house. And if they put on some kind of streaming platform or something, I could see them wanting to do that too, right? That wasn't mentioned, but I could see them wanting to do that too, because how big is Critical Role? And I can totally see them going, great, you want to be like an official streamer partner, or you want some kind of official thing, you got to use this platform. Right. And you got to use this tabletop. And you got to use our proprietary books that go through it.
Yeah, they very easily could do, like a VTT could have a streaming capability, because if it's going to have video, webcams and stuff, they could very easily do that because it have recording features and things. So that could be. I thought they downsized. So is D&D Now, or the digital thing that they have, is
D&D Beyond?
Beyond, sorry, D&D Beyond. HBO, what's going on? D&D Beyond, is that a separate?
I think
company?
so.
Okay.
And the
because they just had
I think
huge
so. I could be
layoffs,
wrong.
like
The only reason I know it is because I think they're either owned or associated with Fandom.
Oh, right.
Right, and the only reason I know that is because of the spotlight I wrote for the Cortex Prime handbook, right? Which is, or not handbook, but like I wrote material, right, for the Cortex Prime TTRPG, which now is doing Masters of the Universe and the Dragon Prince. Part of the delay in why that came out, or why it's still rolling out, is because Cortex partnered with Fandom to bring all their stuff kind of online. And that's the only reason I know that Fandom also does D&D Beyond. Like, I've never gone to look at D&D Beyond because I don't want to play D&D. But being involved in Cortex, I know that, okay, they ported it all to some kind of online rollers and all this stuff, and I'm not really into online role-playing games, so I haven't looked at it that deeply. But I think it's a separate company.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember a few years back they downsized very big. A lot of people got laid off and stuff. So I was like, so that doesn't seem to be going well. So I was wondering, what WotC is actually thinking about doing. I mean, they could really step in, and especially if they, partnered or made like it very compatible with Twitch. Like, nobody had to give up their Twitch channels. You could actually just send your games. Although that could be just a bunch of pollution of like
it could be.
actual plays. There's so many actual plays, unwatchable, just like people with making noise on their microphone.
Sure, but I mean, I think that kind of gets into the. If you want us to be like an official sponsor, or if you want to be on like our whatever channel, then you got to use this. There's got to be some kind of vetting process or something.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting, and I'm surprised that they don't just buy one of the established technologies, buy Roll20 or Foundry or something. Yeah, I mean that would probably upset a lot of people because they play other they want to play other systems. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is that, it's a virtual tabletop for one system.
But I mean, like, okay, like that's true. I'm sure people would be able to use other things in it. Also, I kind of see it's less of a danger if you're running it for the one most popular system, right?
Yeah.
So, like, no one's going to go, hey, let's make a Monster Hearts dedicated version. Like, no one's going to do that, right? Much as I'd love to see it, still wouldn't play online, right? But, like, this is D&D we're talking about. It's an 800-pound gorilla that has movies and, kind of crappy TV shows made about it, right? So,
Yeah, so I wonder. So the future of all of this, and I'm sure they want to time a lot of these like big, with the 50th. I mean, they want to be as big as possible for their 50th anniversary.
Hey, fingers crossed the pandemic will be over by then.
Right.
Not that I really care about
hopefully.
What they release, but
It'll be a distant memory. Sure it will. Yeah, so.
Except for long COVID. Anyway.
So that is it. And we'll get details eventually, and we'll
As
see
they
what
come out.
we'll see what these classic settings are too.
Oh yeah, I think
one
someone
has
was
to
saying
be
Spelljammer.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, Spelljammer, Dragonlance, and what, Dark Sun? Oh,
Maybe,
Dark Sun.
maybe,
That would be great.
maybe.
But maybe not. I think there's other systems I would rather play Dark Sun on than
Planescape.
5e. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. If you look at stuff that is successful in maybe computer RPGs.
Oh, I forgot about not being a computer person. I forgot Planescape.
Yeah,
was
Planescape,
a computer.
and yeah. So that might be a interesting.
My recommendation that came out because those are the most non-boring ass standard fantasy things, right?
Right.
Like people are like, why is Spelljammer so popular? Dark Sun? Because it's different from what's already out there. Right?
Yeah, that's true, and that would be perfect timing, kind of leading to and now you can play it how you want. Like if they're going to start, if gold is going to be something a little more flexible. Yeah, I don't know. I hope Paizo's got big plans for 2024.
Well, you know what? Okay, they're probably second, but I have to assume Paizo fans are just as dedicated and rabid as D&D fans. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
I think
they're second, but I don't think they're going anywhere.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. So, but will D&D Gold be the new Coke for? Was it because we're like, oh, sorry, we're so sorry.
Maybe.
We didn't mean to do that. We didn't mean to do that. But they could get Bill Cosby to do commercials for it. That's funny seeing those old New Coke ads and old Bill Cosby, young Bill Cosby being so funny, so cute.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Moving on.
So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always, it's Hivemind, HYVEMYND, where on the way over here, I think I just started Tabletoptober.
Oh,
only because I started putting together my Frostgrave warband again, and I said, you know what? Hey, is there like kind of like an Inktober or a Swordtember? Is there some kind of monthly challenge out there? There maybe one exists. Didn't really find one, so I just said I'm starting my own. So it's just going to be like I'm hoping to do at least 15 minutes of something war game miniature related every day in October.
Nice. Oh,
why not? Mine's going to be Frostgrave only because I don't have other miniatures, and I like the Osprey. Sorry, I like the North Star miniature official minis. Those are really nice. Maybe try and finish something up in the hopes of the pandemic ending sometime so we can play again.
Nice. Yeah.
Anyway.
Definitely. Yeah, because we've got there's lots of stuff we gotta be doing.
So many things
together.
I want to do.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
Cool. So, how about you?
And I do a live stream of my cartoon, Domestic Abuse, which I did yesterday, and there's some people that in the chat that know all about that. So that's a weekly cartoon. You can see the archive of that at gocomics.com/domestic abuse and abuse cartoons on YouTube and Twitch if you want to watch that stream. If you want to see more live streams and recorded sessions and reviews and all sorts of things for Upturned Table and the weekly, please go to upturnedtable.com. And if you want to become a weekling supporting this weekly show, please go to patreon.com/upturnedtable. And so available just about everywhere. So subscribe to the podcast on just about every platform. We just got on Amazon Music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just keeps going. And so thanks for watching. And we'll just you can I'll hit the chat up after this. So we'll do that. And let's do a little bit of silence real quick. You got the time?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do a few minutes. Oh, actually, let's sign off and then we'll do that. Okay, so that's all for this week. We'll be back next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. And now, our patented moment. Yeah. Yes.
Where we stare at our phones like an old married couple.
That'll do it.
Cool.
All right. Okay. So, thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, and we'll see you. Yeah, see you next time, Chris.
Or would you be able? I think you did.
What's that?
Do you think you'd be able to resend me a copy of?
Oh, sure, of Warlock. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I've got the supporting stuff too. That bundle of holding. Yeah, I've got a bunch of.
About that, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Didn't have the anyway.
No
Cool.
problem. Okay. something. Yes. Okay. Take it easy. See you. All right. So let me just take a quick look at the chat. Yes, Sir Matthew, you're correct. Chris's disdain for 5e. Nice. Oh yeah, the top secret movie. Yeah, maybe they can get Val Kilmer to work on the CMON top secret project. Nice. Yes, that comes up. So that's why I think I bring up 5e so often, is because it's fun to see Chris's reaction. Yeah, right. Math nerd and theater kid. Oh yeah, yeah. The I wonder what will happen if they do. Yeah, if Wizards of the Coast goes really heavy into virtual and digital. Yeah, the physical luxury versions that are doing so well now will definitely take a beating. Yeah, yeah. I wonder in the new edition, like already Pathfinder has walked away from using race. They're doing what, heritage or yeah, I think it was heritage, and so maybe D&D will do the same. Yeah, so I'm curious if they will try to serve kind of both halves of this like fracturing market that they're dealing with. But great, yeah. Thanks, Orcus. Thanks for watching, and nice. Oh, cool. Yeah, see you guys next week. Yeah, so I was talking at the beginning of the stream about, so I'm running the kind of classic Warhammer Fantasy campaign, but using Warlock. And Warlock was, inspired so heavily by early British roleplay that it's really compatible. It works really well. A lot of things port over really well. There were just a few minor adjustments. So I think I'm going to put together like a free PDF or just kind of my experience with doing the conversion, and if you wanted to use those same kind of guides, because already Warlock has a lot of support and a lot of community generated and things that they've published. They've done 2 compendiums that have included a lot of additional rules and even new jobs and careers. They call them careers. So even new careers and advanced careers that support Warhammer Fantasy really well. So yeah, I really want to, and like I was saying, in their sci-fi edition, Warp Star, they have the mutation tables that are kind of the same thing. The corruption tables from Warhammer Fantasy, they have those warp corruption tables that would be a more rogue trader, kind of 40k thing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, cool. Yeah, please, Orcus, check out the live stream. So yeah, just Abuse Cartoons, and it'll hopefully, my schedule's been a little weird, so it'll either be Tuesday or Thursday next week, which will be Monday night or Wednesday night, North American time. But yeah, I think I've got those linked on Twitch. I think those 2 channels are linked. But I think we're all good. Yes, so just trying to finish up without Chris and just kind of hit up everybody on the chat. So yeah, Crispin and Orcus and Sir Matthew, thank you guys so much for watching the stream. We appreciate having you guys in the chat. And yeah, so we'll do some more of this next time. And I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on. I should have, not this weekend, but next weekend, maybe the second session of Enemy Within, and yeah, it's going really well. The one thing that I did notice, and I'm so glad that Cubicle 7, they have the rights for Warhammer Fantasy, and that also means that they've reprinted first edition rules and also the Enemy Within books. So those went out in either a humble bundle or a bundle of holding. They're all marked Cubicle 7 now, but the first edition, the original edition of Enemy Within, is so I don't want to say better, but I like it. The detail and the events and how things happen in the adventure, I think, are a lot better than what came out for or what is coming out. I guess it's in process of coming out for 4th edition. Their kind of new version of Warhammer Fantasy. They really smoothed things out and took a lot of the grimdark and mud and blood and ugliness out of the setting. There's NPCs that don't exist in the newer version. There's events that happen that really reinforce, like, nothing works here. Everything is broken. The local authorities, local governments are super corrupt. Of course, all of the elector counts and everything are incredibly corrupt. The noble class just makes everybody's life miserable, and you're constantly running into that stuff in the first edition. A lot of that stuff came out for fourth edition Enemy Within. I mean, the art and everything is gorgeous for the new version, but it lost some flavor. So it's a little blander, and maybe that was for the taste or the kind of palate of the current tabletop gamers. Maybe the 5e players aren't going to want something so grim and relentlessly broken, as far as the setting itself is just like nothing goes well. But so I'm using mostly the first edition, the original version of Enemy Within, to run with Warlock. It's much more compatible, and the tone is maintained really well. So I'm not sure if it's political correctness or wokeness or whatever that is kind of like making them tone things down, but none of that content has any racial or sexual or phobic anything in it. So I'm not quite sure why they decided to strip it down the way they did. Maybe they're just trying to streamline how things move, because there's a lot of NPCs that kind of pop up and a lot of events that come up that are just keep getting in the way of the players, and so they maybe wanted to pace it differently. But I love some of the stuff that goes on just in that first coach in the beginning of Enemy Within, or Enemy in the Shadows, the first part. There's really good stuff. So I'll try to document that, and definitely release just notes that I used for conversion. So if you want to try something like that, it'll be real easy. I should look on the Warlock community as well, because I'm definitely the 100th person to think of that. But so I'm sure other people have done that conversion. But it's really fun. It's a great system. It's a really nice rules light, very thematic system that works well with early, kind of grim, dark, or grubby fantasy adventures. So I'll keep talking about that as that comes up. So thanks, you guys, for joining, and appreciate you having you in the chat. We'll be doing this again next week, same time, unless some horrible natural disaster gets in the way. But thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time. And I need to find the right mouse. All right. Take care, everyone. See you again.